Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. It's a bit of a different stream today because I do this on a Sunday, but I'm a bit busy tomorrow, so I decided to do it now. And what we're going to do is work through some course notes. So, howtocodewell.net is available. It is live, and what I want to do, I'll just show you on the here. What I want to do, excuse me, I got a cough, is I need to add some course notes. So these are the notes here. These course notes are in a GitHub repository, and what happens is that they get pulled in on the deployment, and then the markdown gets converted and added to the database, and blah 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 blah. So essentially, the GitHub repo, How to Code Well course notes, is the open source repository for the notes of the free courses on howtocodewell.net. So as you can see here, we have 41 open issues. There's already a pull request, which we did last time, which is the Docker machine job. So we're going to look at another note here, or another course. So let's have a look at, and these notes are they're not like a one-to-one as to what the video is actually showing. They are related notes for that particular tutorial, that lesson. So I'm just having a look here. What we've got Linux Backs for Beginners. We've got some Jekyll. We've got some HTML forms. Now, I don't have all of the courses that I've created on the site yet. So let's just focus on the ones that are available at the minute. So for example, we did the Docker machine one before. We've got Linux Bash for Beginners, command line, basics, strings, control structures. Do we have any control structures? Course notes for control structures. We don't. Do we have any issues for those particular ones? Because that might be more of a straightforward thing to do. So I'm looking at all the labels here. Can we search by a label? Excuse me. So we've got Docker machine, Docker for beginners, HTML, Jekyll, PHP, and MySQL. It doesn't appear that we actually have the notes for these. Maybe we should create them. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 conditional statements for each loops, while loops, for loops, and switch statements. So that seems pretty straightforward to create notes for. I suppose what I should do is actually create the tickets for those first. So let's do that. I will copy. First of all, I suppose first up we need to actually create a label for this course. So we'll do course : and then it is PHP control structures is the course name, right? PHP control structures, yeah. So it doesn't matter if it's a PHP control structures, and we will give it we'll give it a fancy, that will do. Create label. Okay, so let's see what I kind of need to copy, like an example. That's not a very good example. Let's course Docker machine. That's not a very good example either. HTML forms. Do we have any? No. Okay. What is open? Oh, it's combining the labels. That's why. Let's just load up some of these. Right. Let's click on one of those things. Okay. So we add the note to here, and if we just do a raw, I will copy that. So what I'm proposing is that we create a new course note, which is, I've created one here. Interesting. Do we have any notes? Right. There we go. Right. So I've already done this step, the step of actually creating the markdown files. I obviously need to fill out those markdown files. So, okay. So obviously I've created these, but I haven't actually created the GitHub issues, which is annoying. So that's silly of me. Let's create a new issue and do missing. Oh, good. It's already put that in there. Cool. I haven't played around with this repository for a while. So missing. Is it missing note? Let me have a look. Let's bring that up as a new tab. I want to try and keep consistency. Course note and then 2 missing course note 5. That's the number for the tutorial. So it's, what is it? Missing note course notes. Right, here we go. Missing course notes, and I think there's a colon. Is that right? Yep, there is. Notes. So that would be 1, and then it's the title of the lesson of the tutorial. So this would be conditional statements. Conditional statements. All right. What tutorial? Okay, so it would be that, right? Notes coming soon, and then this would be edit these notes. Is that right? Is that the right way of doing that? Let's have a look. Yes. Oh, it goes here. Right. Okay, I see. I see. And then, so that's the link to the, got it. Got it. Right, so there's that. And so this would be the link to that particular thing. So if we go over to the course, or the code, sorry, this would be in control structures, and it would be notes, and it would be this one here, if else statement conditions. So we'll copy the link and we'll change that. There we go. Okay, so assignees, I'll give it to myself. Labels, I'm going to have the label that we created, which is course : PHP control structures. There we go. Do we have anything for documentation? Yeah, we do. Cool. Projects. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to bother with milestones. There we go. So there's the first one. And I guess what we should do is just create the ones for the others, right? So if we go new issue, and then let's copy that in there, and then do, I've gone and forgotten it already. Is it missing course notes? Ugh. Yeah, missing course notes, then colon, missing course notes, then colon, then the number, which is lesson, which is 2, then the title, which I get from here, which is for each loops. So I'm just to double check that doesn't have any course notes. No. Right, so for each loops, and then we link that to, oh, actually, hang on a minute. Whoa. I've just seen a problem here. That's strange. So number 2 is for each loops. Right. 3 is while loops. 4 is for loops. And 5 is switch statements. Okay. Why then does this say 2 is PHP control structures? There seems to be a problem here. That's not correct. This should be for each loops. All right. For now, I'm going to copy this. I'll put a note in the ticket to say that this is incorrect. Okay. So this should be called 0202, and it's for each loops. All right. Okay, again, I'm going to submit it to myself. We're going to, I wish it could keep the previous selection, PHP control structures. That was all I needed to do. Okay, so we'll submit that and then we'll create a new issue. So I will again just grab that. Boo, 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 boo. Oh yeah, I need to mark it as a documentation. Do we have any? Ah, we do have missing course notes. I thought we did. Yeah, because I thought these looked like they had 3. Right. So we should go back to the first one that we did, which was go back to issues, missing corners. This one here, and change and add missing course notes to that. Whoops, there we go. Right, so again, we're going to go to edit. We're going to go to new issue. The reason why I'm doing like 1 issue per course note is that just in case I don't get around to doing like all the course notes, then it's like a pull request per note. Yum. Hi, Enria Tor. Don't worry about. Please don't worry about the promo. That's perfectly fine as it is. Thank you. So, okay, number 3 is for loop. Is that the same? No, 3 is while loops. So, great. So I'm not entirely sure what happened when I was doing all this. So this should be missing course notes, and it is number 3, and it is actually while loops. While loops. And again, I will just say this should be while loops. And again, assign it to myself. I'm going to pass this in as PHP course control structures. It is missing course notes, and of course it's documentation. Okay, cool. That's all good. And then I guess we should do the next one, which is the 4th one. We're nearly there. New issue. Grab that. Right, so this is missing course. Course notes, number 4. And number 4 is for loops. 4 is for loops. Okay, so we will so we've got while loops. So there's a little bit of confusion. So we'll do this should be for loops. Again, I'll assign it to myself, and we'll set the PHP PHP control structures. Oops, there's also documentation, and I really wish GitHub would like have a list of recent labels. So when you're doing all these things en masse, it offers you the things that you've just done. All of this talk about artificial intelligence, and this is just one of the things that could really just help someone out. Okay, missing. Otherwise, you're just hunting for things, and it's oh, hang on a minute. I've copied that? That should be while loops, right? No? Yes? No? Hang on. Number 4 is for loops. So this should be for loops. There we go. Right. And I guess the last one we'll do is the switch statements. So we'll do, we'll grab that. Grab all that again, hit new issue, paste all that in there, and then do missing course notes, and this is number 5 now. Oh, 5, and this is switch statements. Yay! So switch statements, and this is a link to functions. Why not? Was I drunk when I did this? This should be switch statements, and assign it to myself, and we'll do PHP control structures again. We'll do think. It is documentation, and it is a missing course note. There we go. Right. Banging. Okay. So now we've got this all set up, we should be able to then create some pull requests for the specific things. So I'm gonna just quickly dive out, go to the loop. I'm also gonna change my top because it is getting rather warm with these lights on. So give me a second. I'll be back very, very shortly, and then we'll get on to actually writing some of these notes. Right. Okay. So, let's tackle these things then. So we created. I can't find the damn things. Let's refresh the page. That probably help. Here we go. Here we go. So these are the 5 notes that we want to focus on. We're going to focus on the first one, which is conditional statements. Let's just. Right, so this is 124. So let's go over to here and let's do a git checkout of main. Cool. Let's do a git pull, bring down the latest and greatest. I don't think there's any change. No. Let's do git checkout -b, and I called it 124. Is that right? 124, and it's conditional statements. So this is like if, else, if, else, that kind of jazz. So let's deal with that. Now, I am unsure if this is going to work because we've got if, else conditions. And I just need to double check the website and just see how that pulls in, because this is not the right name for this. So this is called conditional statements, and I can't remember whether I've just got this running off of the order ID. I hope I have, or whether it's checking for the title as well and comparing it to the title on the markdown file. I really hope it's not. I hope it's just looking for the numeric value and then just going, okay, that matches up with this one. So give me a second whilst I just have a little look. It's a if I go to, where is the damn website? There we go. So, come on, work it out. Good. Right. So it's a command. So it's in, well, let's have a look. It should be called import course notes command. There we go. And what is it doing? So it's importing course notes. It's finding all, gets all the courses, right? Okay, fine. Then it loops over each of the courses and gets the tutorials out. Okay, fine. Then it loops over the tutorials and it says working on a particular tutorial based on the title. So how does it marry up the tutorial in the database to the markdown file? So we go notes, content, this get file contents, get the course, get the tutorial, and get the, and it's a type of notes. So something in here, that's transcript content. So something in here, it must based on these two parameters, it must work that out. So file exists, generate file path, passing in the course, the tutorial, and the type. All right, so let's have a look into that. All right, here we go. So if in array, if isn't an array, type valid type. So that should be notes and transcripts, which it is. Okay, so then get file base path, course slug, that gets the slug of the course. It gets the file name, generate file name, return base course type and file name. What's going on with generate file name based on the tutorial that you pass in. So this would be course slug / type / file name. Base path is the get file base path, which is the file base, which is fine because that's the base when that GitHub repository gets imported. That is in the vendor directory. That's fine. That gets the slug of the course, and then here we're generating the file name of the tutorial. So we end up with this base path, course slug, type, and file name. So let's just, so we know what these three are. Let's have a look. So if we go back over to, so this is the slug. So PHP control structures. So if we have a look at the code, then it should be PHP control structure. That's Python control structures. There should be, yeah, PHP control structures. So that's correct, PHP control structures. And then when we get into here, it's, so that's that, right? And then it's / type, which would either be notes or transcripts. So that would be notes or transcripts. So we're in notes. And then we look for the file name, which is one of these things. Now the file name is generated apparently through here, passing in the tutorial. So the tutorial that we're passing in would be conditional statements. That's the slug, conditional statements. So let's have a little look on this. So tutorial number, oh, this is good. So we have tutorial number is format tutorial number. So what does that do? Okay, so if it's less than 10, then we prefix it with 0 as a string, and then we will return the tutorial number. That would solve the fact that that's a tutorial of 1, and then but this is 0, 1. Okay, that makes sense. So then let's have a look, another look at this. So generate file name. We then do hyphen, and then we get the slug. So the slug is going to be conditional statements. Right, so this needs to change because this needs to be the same as that, and it's not. So the first thing I need to do is replace this, so if else conditions, with the title of or the slug of the tutorial. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to do. Right, so let's get back into that project. Let me just switch over to the course notes. And the first thing we'll do, yeah, we're in there, is we will rename this, refactor rename to, it needs to be 0, 1 still, to conditional statements. Now really, I should change the code so it's only looking for that, to be honest, because that's really, you know, it doesn't really matter what the file name is called as long as the order is correct. But you know, let's just keep it as is as a minute. So there we go, that's the change. So we'll just do a quick change, a git status here. All we've done is renaming it. So we'll do a git commit -am, and we'll do height. That's the wrong command. Sorry. There we go. 124, because that's the ticket number. There we go. 124, and so we'll do renaming file from 0, 1 if else if else. Why did I do this in the first place? Get rid of that. I can't see what I'm doing. Else if conditions to 0, 1 conditional statements. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's the first change. Okay, so now we've got this all lined up, we can you know, we can actually start writing the note. So let's have a little gander. So this is we can palm this off into sort of 3 sections, I guess. So the first one will be sort of an if statement. Then we have the next section, which is if else statement. And then we could have so if else, and then we could have the next one, which is if else if statement. Right, so at the top here we can say there are 3 types of if statements in PHP. Okay, so conditional statements. So let's do a conditional statement changes the flow of the application based on the evaluation of a condition. This is done via yeah, okay, there we go. That'll do. So a conditional statement changes the flow of the application based on the evaluation of a condition. Right. So there are 3 types of if statements in PHP. So I should really say that. Drink some tea. Okay, so let's create. I'm gonna sort of fill these out in little bits, I think. So I don't like the way it goes to that time. So this should be like if, and let's do value equals true. So let's call it something better than that. So is ready equals true. So then we have something like echo it is ready. Something like that, right? And then we have is ready is equal to true. Let's change this to be, or let's copy this and have this to be if is ready is false. All right. So they're the examples of the if statement that I'm going to give. In fact, let's split this out. So there we go. So the below example, or the example below, will output it is ready because the variable do I have is ready? Yep, is ready. I'm going to get rid of this because I can't see most of the stuff. Is evaluated to true. And then here we go. Right, the example below will not output it is ready because the variable is evaluated to false. Right, let's break this up. So I'll give another example of what an if statement is all about. So again, we go to PHP here. So we have if, and then this is the condition condition to check, and then this here is body or statement body, and then another one, this gets ran or gets executed when the condition to check is true. All right, so we've got the condition to check, and then we've got the statement body in here, and this gets ran, this gets executed when the condition is true. So here the example below will output it is ready because the variable is ready is evaluated to true. So we have is ready, and that's true. The example below will not output it is ready because the variable is ready is evaluated to false. Okay, so I'm going to put in another comment in here. This will not run as is ready is not is false. And then another comment in there. So this will run as is ready is true. Okay, right. Okay, so that explains the sort of the signature, if you will. So we can say an if statement consists of the condition the conditional statement and the statement and the body. The body will get executed if the conditional statement is true. There we go. All right, so this is the condition to check. There we go. Okay, so that's the happy path. That's the unhappy path. And then this is like a breakdown of what this is. Let's have a little look. This looks fine. There are 3 types of if statements. So let's just do one is an if statement. 2 is an if else statement. And 3 is an if else statement. Yeah. So that's number 1, which is if statement. So we'll do 1. And then down here we'll have 2. And then we'll have 3. That's 4. I don't know why that's gone to 4. 3. There we go. We can get rid of this. So a conditional statement changes the flow of the application based on the evaluation of a condition. There are 3 types of if. There are 3 types of. Let's just change that to be conditional statement. It reads better. There are 3 types of conditional statements in PHP: an if statement, an if else statement, and if else statement. Okay, so that's the if statement. Let's move on to the next one, which is the if else statement. Again, I'm gonna create some code here, and I don't really want to follow the convention. Let's make another example. So let's say, well, let's just copy this for a minute. We'll have an else here, and then so instead of is ready, let's say is, or let's just say mode is equal to test, right? So if mode is equal to dev or test or production, and then let's have settings is equal to an array, and then I'm just trying to think of an example, like a real world example. So settings, let's do API key is equal to prod underscore ABC. Or let's say ABC prod, right? Else, oops, settings is equal to API key, which is dev. Let's change that to be dev. Let's change that to be test. Right, so if the mode comes in as test, we're checking for mode. If the mode is dev, then we set the API. In fact, let's just refactor this a bit. So settings, we could have a default setting. So we will use let's do it by dev by default. So if it's prod, then it's prod. So we need this, don't we? There we go. And then else, that is if it's going backwards here, if it's test, then it would be in here, right? So it's always going to default to dev. It's always going to, if it checks for prod, then that will be prod. Else it goes to test. So it defaults to dev. All right. So I'm saying this is in the above example. So, or the example below will set, and we'll have variable settings, API key, will set the value of API key to, and then this will be, because it's coming in as test, ABC test. There we go. Because the mode is evaluated to test to let's say mode has the value of test. Right. The Costly Clouds podcast. Thank you, JR Mint 11. Thank you. Costly Clouds. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. Is React going to go anywhere? No. So many people are right now are. It's this time of the year. I think everyone thinks that, you should jump onto the latest and greatest, and it's a new year, and therefore there needs to be a new framework, a new trend to jump on. And we've had so many Flashpan type trends recently, and it's laughable. I mean, look at the crypto space. It's in a state. It's in a state that nobody thought it would be in. and there's been so many scams, and there's been so many people saying a bunch of promises and never really happened. And it's like nobody is comfortable with nobody's comfortable with the status quo. Everybody wants to chase something. Everyone's like, oh, this is new, and so it must be better. Just because it's new, it must be better. Like, no. No. Just because, like, going back to the crypto thing, it's like, just because it's a new way of doing finance, it doesn't mean it's better. It doesn't mean it's a better way of doing it. Just because there's a new build tool doesn't mean that that's the better way of doing it. Like, for example, is it TurboPack? It's like, in my opinion, it's not even production ready. Like, yes, it's fast, but because it doesn't use or hook into all the Webpack extensions that are out there, it's a non-starter in my opinion, because you need to, unless you're doing a completely new, fresh project and you've got a complete handle and control over everything you put into that project, you really don't have a chance to use all the latest and greatest stuff if the latest and greatest stuff isn't compatible with the legacy code out there, or all the legacy stuff out there. It's not it's very, as a PHP dev, it's very weird looking at the JavaScript community, because I'm dealing with things like, very old code bases, incredibly old code bases, where we have, say, very old versions of PHP, and we've got like very old versions of jQuery, and we've got, like, I don't know, other microsites that are very old versions of WordPress. And so we're working on, in the legacy space, we're working on upgrading it to be in a position where we're actually now getting security patches and updates and all of this stuff. That's our drive. It's to get to the point where it's quote unquote stable. When you're dealing with a lot of legacy code, that's basically where you want to get to. It's like, right, let's look at where the where the next sort of like end of life is, and then let's try and get to that, to the LTS, the next LTS. It's not a case of, oh, let's scrap everything and do this completely different way and use a completely different technology because that's what we feel like. It's like, no, this is a moving target. We have to keep it running, and we don't have the luxury and the opportunity to look at all of these new fancy tools and stuff, because we simply can't do that. We can't risk. There's such a massive element of risk. And so when you're working on projects that are like that, where you have to work on, old code bases, and you're improving those old code bases to the point where you're receiving, the patches as normal, but you're only chasing it because you want to get to stability. You're not chasing the whole, I want to just change this thing because I feel like changing it. It's very weird, man. It's so weird looking at it from a PHP point of view, looking at the JavaScript community. It's like, why aren't you happy with what you have now? Why change? Why is there a need to change everything every year? It's like, oh, there's this new thing, this new way of bundling your code, this new way of packaging your code, there's a new way of testing your code. And yet I understand that there definitely needs to be improvements, and I'm not saying that change is a bad thing. I'm just like when I see all of these videos that are constantly talking about the latest and greatest, you should be on this thing, you should be doing this, if you're still doing all of these old stuff, it's damaging your career. I'm still working on very old versions of Angular. I'm still working on incredibly old versions of jQuery, old versions of WordPress, old versions of PHP, old versions of Python. And in my YouTube stream, whatever feed you call it, it's like, you need to be learning this, otherwise, you should be, these are the hot new trends in 2023. It's like, what? No. Slow the roll down here. Let's just look at the bigger picture and see what's actually out there live and see if we can support and maintain that, rather than let's just change our code base every year to something completely different. I find it very, very frustrating, and as you can probably tell, and actually quite laughable when I see all of these sort of trendy videos. The next biggest thing, it's like, well, why weren't you happy with the thing that you already had? Yeah, it feels like people are reinventing the wheel. Yeah, it's. I fell into the trap with howtocodewell.net. It took me years to get it to the point where it is at the minute, and it's laughable because it's such a simple website. But it was because I chased trends. It's because I was like, oh, let's get microservices in there, because everybody uses microservices, right? That's the right thing to do, right? It's like the whole mobile first approach, microservice first approach. That was the line I was taking. And then I discovered that actually I've now overcomplicated all of my things, and I have now just wasted a massive portion of time trying to put everything in microservices and then bringing them back into a monolith. I was dead set on not having a monolith, and now it's a monolith. In fact, the How to Code Well repository has it's a mono repo, right? So we have the podcast in there. We've got the actual website in there. There's code for the infrastructure of all of those things for each of the environments as well in a single mono repo. And that's something I was totally dead against right at the start, because mono repos were bad, microservices were good. Have separate repositories for all of your code bases. Control everything using version control, and you'll be winning. And have a separate database for everything. Use JWT for all of the authentication and security, because that is what all the big players were doing. And it just got into a massive mess because it's just me dealing with this code base. But I was so adamant that was the thing to do, because that was the most trendiest thing out there at the time. But I shot myself in the foot, and I just had to draw a line under it and went, this is so complicated, because I'm slowing down the requests because I'm making sure that everything is authenticated based on each request. It just got into a mess, and then you had a database for every separate service, and just got very confusing. I don't have a team of people. You're a .NET guy. Yeah, 15-year-old projects. Yeah, but see, that's the nice part of it. It's like, yeah, you 15-year-old projects that you end up with really interesting problems when you're. I shouldn't say problems. Really interesting challenges when you've got a code base that long, that old, and it's it seems like a luxury to be able to alter your code base on a whim. No, we don't. I've never had that. So the question is, do you get clients that say we want to change from PHP to Node.js? No. So I'm a contractor, so I will join a company to do a specific task that I'm basically used as a resource, essentially, to do a specific task that has already been decided. So what usually happens, for me at least, is there is say a team leader or an architect that has already made the decision as to where to go down, and then I'm used as a resource to actually do the thing, right? And there hasn't ever been a switch of programming language. However, I have been put on projects where where I've helped migrate projects from one thing from like one framework to another framework, or from one not a change of programming language as such, but maybe a different stack. So, for example, try not to give too much away, but like a different database, or a different set of a different middleware layer, that kind of thing, or maybe a different CSS framework. But there hasn't ever been a change of like, this is a PHP app and now we need to move it to a Node.js app. That's not really my wheelhouse, to be honest, and I would be more inclined to push back on those kind of conversations because of the amount of investigation that is needed. I wouldn't be able to see the value of doing that, and I'm from my own personal opinion, I am a little bit terrified of JavaScript in any flavor on the server. It's okay for things like serverless, another trendy thing that happened a couple of years back. It's okay for those kind of things because they are very quick to spin up and spin down. But I just get a little bit nervous having an actual application running in JavaScript on the server side when there are so many other programming languages out there that can do the job far better than Node.js. And I know that's an incredibly controversial thing to say, but that's just my opinion. As a PHP and as a Python dev, I look at Node.js and I think, what is the point sometimes? So, yeah, Laravel to Symfony, or yeah, let's just use that, Laravel or Symfony. Yeah, maybe a different e-commerce framework to another e-commerce framework. That kind of speciality. That's kind of my wheelhouse. Changing a whole programming language at scale is quite a terrifying thing. I did once take a project that had no framework, so it was a custom built framework that the developer created. The developer left, right? I took the project on, and it was already in production. It was PHP, and I implemented Symfony, and we used the Strangler pattern to handle that over a long period of time. And the challenge there is, of course, that you can't have zero downtime, right? So you have to do it incrementally and ease in to the new thing. You can't just suddenly do a cut and shut, and that is very difficult when you're changing programming language, because you're literally removing everything and replacing it with something completely new. When you've got a programming language that you're set on, and all you're doing is changing the framework. I say all you're doing is, if you're changing the framework or moving it from one version of the framework to another version of the framework, or implementing another way of doing it but in the same programming language, then you have less big bang things to worry about. The way we did that is we listened to all the requests coming in, and we were able to segregate some of the requests to the new world, to the new Symfony app. And we started to build up the controllers incrementally, right? So slowly we were eating the vanilla PHP code base using Symfony, and it was slowly taking it over. And we had a way of listening to the requests and then doing some sort of logical thing to work out if that request can go to Symfony, or whether that request needs to go back to the old style or the old application. And then eventually the Symfony application took over the old application, and we were able to turn that off. And that's how we did it. That's how we slowly did it. Yeah. Yeah, it's very hard. Yeah, I mean, microservices you have to really monitor, and I can't do it. Do I have a video link to the PHP London event? So no, I don't, unfortunately. There is, well, that's a lie. There is a video that's floating about, but it's in my opinion, it's not the greatest. They were doing a test for doing some live streaming and stuff. So what I'm going to do, I've got a bit of a cold. When I'm feeling better, I'm actually going to do the whole talk again in a video style, and I'll put it out on Twitter and YouTube and whatnot, because I've been asked for a VOD of that, and I'll use that. Excuse me. I'll use that to practice and stuff, because I want to give that talk again to other places. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I'm surprised at how much snot a single person can produce in a day. I am just so, bunged up and snuffly. It's annoying. Yeah, I'll put a VOD on. I reckon I'll be able to do it in the next, say, 2 weeks, maybe. When we start getting into that weird period of Christmas where you don't really know what day you're on between Christmas and New Year. So I'll do it within that period, I think. And there is someone who's asked me for it, so I will send it out. Yes. What was I doing? The if else. Yes, here we go. The example of set API key to ABC test because, and you can't spell because, the mode has a value of test. Mode has a value of test, so it's not going to be prod. That's the default. And there we go. Okay, so again, I should create like this example. Here, right? Yeah. So you say you're a .NET dev, right? So do you do any PHP? Is there any PHP in your life? I haven't used .NET in ages. I wouldn't really know. It's probably changed so much. Can you remember the old ASP Classic days? That's where I was, and I did a little bit of .NET. I did, but that was so long ago. I did some crazy things with like Access databases and VB6. That's dating me. Okay, the statement body. So we'll put that in as the else body. This gets executed when the conditional check is true, and then this gets executed when is false. And then we have some wording. I might as well just copy that. Ugh. Everything just feels so difficult when you've got a cold. An if statement, okay, an if else statement consists of the conditional statement and the body. Well, no, it consists of it consists of the. Oh, I should have just kept that, to be honest. The conditional statement. And how do I word this? And a. A else block. Okay. The else block is executed if the conditional statement is not met. So let's do else block, and that's yeah. All right. The example will set the value of the example below. We'll set the value of settings API to test, to ABC test, because the mode has the value of test. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. And then this is the else if statement. Woo! Okay. I'm gonna do this, and then I think I'm gonna call it a day, because I am I'm just not feeling great. And okay, and else if an if else if statement consists of conditional statement an else if block and a else block. The else if block is executed if the first conditional statement has not been met, but it's, I don't know if this is the right way of wording it, but its condition has been met. And we should explain what the else does. The else block gets executed. It's executed, man. I mean, it's one of those things that programming, the wording of programming is so brutal, because, you know, executed, it means something very, very different in different contexts. It reminds me of, I used to work for a company that was in agriculture, and we were doing a lot of stuff for farms and cattle and all of this stuff. And we would have some very interesting variable names for the state of the cattle during the, you know, turning cattle into produce, shall we say. So yeah, the else block gets executed. They're fun times. The else block gets executed when neither the if condition or the else if condition is met. Use nor. The else block gets executed when the if condition or the else condition has not been met. I think that makes more sense. Let's put in a paragraph on here. There we go. Right, so we need a block in here, which is our else if. So here we have, whoops, the condition. So this is let's have another condition to check. So this is the else if block. This gets executed when when the condition to check is when the condition to check is false and the condition to check and the are both false. Ooh, with the okay, so so this gets executed when another condition to check is true and well, we'll do when is false, but the condition is true. Condition is true. Right. Okay. So we're saying this goes first. This gets executed when the condition to check is true. That's the else block. There's also this gets executed when the condition to check, which is that one, is false, but the another condition to check condition is true. Let's change this to be something different. So let's say this is value to check, right? Another value to check, because it gets a bit confusing when in the wording. Oops. So this gets executed when another value to check is whoa. No, that's not right. When that is false and this is true. I guess we should, well, so you could do it like that. Yeah, let's leave it like that for a minute. Hang on a minute. Whoa. Else if 3, the session. Oh yeah. Oh right. Okay. Yeah. And do we have the API? Yeah, we do. We've just copied the whole thing. Okay, so I'll give you an example then of this. So let's. So we won't do settings like we did last time. We will do. What shall we do? I want to have like a different example for each one. So let's do discount code. All right, discount or discount amount, right? Or discount code. There we go. Discount code is equal to learn to code, or how to code. Well, there we go. That's the discount code. So if discount code is equal to Black Friday, and we'll have discount amount is equal to 0, right? We will have this. Well, no, we don't actually need to do. Yeah. Fine. So discount amount is say 10. I mean, whatever. That could be anything. And then here we have discount code. Oops. Done it. 1, 2, 3. I mean, I would do this in a switch statement, but whatever. Change this to be how to code well. That's the else if block. So discount code is 20. is equal to 20. Else discount amount, let's set that to 5, right? The thing is, though, that's set to 0, so there's no need for that. So you could do that, and you could get rid of that. That's legitimate, but personally, I wouldn't bother with this. Whatever. Okay, so the example below will set the value of discount amount to what are we setting it to 20? Because discount code has the value of how to code well. And so the code falls into the else if block, or let's say has the value as yeah, or let's just reword this completely. So the example below will set the value of discount code to 20 as okay, because the discount code has the value of how to code well. Full stop. In this example, the else if block is executed as the if condition is not met, but the else if condition is correct. I just wanted to explain that a little bit better. Right. There we go. So where are we? Here we go. In this example, the else if block, let's put that in here. The else if block is executed as the if condition is not met, has not been met, as the if condition has not been met, but the else if condition is correct. And again, let's put that in backticks. Okay. Let's say if there are many possible values, then a switch statement. If there are many possible values for discount code, then a switch statement would be recommended. Right. Okay, I am going to commit this and then I'm going to shoot off. I think that is, I mean, I'll check the code and everything in the pull request. I mean, I'm yet to review the other one, but git commit -am. Yeah, hash 1, 2, 4. Adding code notes, code note 4, or course note, let's call it that, for PHP control structures, conditional statements. There we go. And we'll do a git push and grab that. Good. Wonderful. Right. I'm going to dive off. Thank you ever so much for watching, and thank you for the comments, Junior Mint 11. I appreciate that. Good conversation. Right, I'm going to grab some herbal tea. Thank you ever so much for watching. Happy coding, everybody, and I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.